Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay.
3,
2, 1. Life.
Welcome everybody to New World in the Making. And yes, you're right. I am not Adriana. I am Beatriz Paniego Béjar, communications strategist for A New World in the Making. And today it is my absolute honor to be sitting on the driver's seat. Just for this one, I promise. But tell me, Adriana, how does it feel for you to be the interviewee today?
Yeah, it's weird, huh? It's really, really different. It is kind of scary, I have to say. It's weird. But I'm very excited that we're doing this today, and I'm really happy that I'm doing this with you today. So, that we're doing this together. And so that everyone also sees your face, because yours is always behind the scenes and behind the cameras. So I'm very excited that everyone gets a chance to see you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Definitely, it's amazing to be joining you in this project, and today in this podcast that we are doing differently, so people can hear more from you, because you're also one of the person in the edges creating something different. So I'm really excited to be able to have others hear from you why this is happening, right? And so New World in the Making is turning 1 year old, and something big is coming. And I know that we are going to be talking more about that. Do you want to first just tell us about the feeling of New World in the Making, coming to this milestone?
Yeah. No, super happy to do so, because it feels very exciting and very scary. And that, just looking back to the first episodes where I felt really, really nervous, and I didn't have a clue of what I was doing really, and why why this felt actually right to do at that moment. I was like, okay, it just feels right, but let's see where this goes. And then a few months later, you messaged me, and I think that was one of the first moments that I was like, okay, I can see it's resonating with other people, beyond just the guests that would come to the podcast, but also you reached out and were saying that it resonated, and you introduced me to some of the guests that I would later on then interview. So that was just such a great way to feel that this is going and growing, and it's going beyond from only my own experience, but also resonating with others. So that was really important, I think. And just 1 year after, it feels that I learned so much. Like, honestly, I never expected to learn so much, because I thought I had some ideas and some solutions, or how we could engage with this world, with this moment. But I had a lot of questions. I was very frightened about where we would go, and I was very also lost, because I had a lot of ideas, but then also they would not maybe match up with the reality that I was encountering. And so that was coming all together. And now that I talk to so many people, and still there are lots of more guests about to come to the podcast, which I'm very excited about. All these new guests that are coming and lined up are just fantastic. But already what I've learned so far is just so much. So that's why we are now entering into this next phase, which we are here to talk about today. The course Become a Maker. And very excited that we are doing this today to talk about that, about all the learnings. And yes.
Yeah. As you said, right, it's been more than 40 conversations and counting, right? And that idea of you wanted to get the answers from somewhere, because you weren't finding them everywhere else. You did a master in sustainability. You were informing yourself, but like the answers never felt fully right. So what have the conversations that you've been having though? What has that given you?
That's a very good question. So I would say, for the main thing it gave me was a understanding of where we actually are, and that the feeling of hope that I would feel, or the feeling of, okay, something is up on the horizon and it's coming. Um, it's not only chaos, that's what we always hear in all these places, that these are real and that people are working on this already. Um, and I felt that it just gave me so much hope and so much clarity to understand way better where we are at, understand the systems way better, and how just by everything that is happening right now, all this chaos that we're experiencing, everything is leading us towards actually this new world that is then also in alignment with way more our nature and our flourishing. So that is mostly what I've taken from all these conversations. It's a generic sensation of chaos right now, and that is very real, and that is happening, and there is a lot of chaos, and there is a lot of despair, and that there is a lot of fear. And that feeling, though, is also what is then leading us to this new world, and that we are all participating in it. So yeah, it gave me a lot of sensation of calmness, because I was like, okay, I'm actually not crazy. This is happening. It is a lot, and there is a lot happening already, and we can be actively involved in this new world in the making. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That was I think the thing that came up
Yeah,
most.
beautifully expressed, and I could feel it, and that
Yeah.
is why finding you
Amazing.
and finding new world in the making gave me that hope. As you said, that we fall. There's a lot of us feeling that despair, that hopelessness, some
Yeah.
bit of a paralysis, right?
Yeah.
And finding you, and finding new world in the making was that breath of fresh air that
Mm,
I knew I needed to know. Okay. There's something going on. It is just not me making up things.
no.
Yes, but there's something that is happening, and just to hear from so many brilliant minds, um, and giving their perspectives and their solutions as well, and their opinions on why this new world is happening and what is emerging.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now you have had those 40 plus conversations,
Yeah.
and as you said, a course is coming. Become a maker.
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay. Okay. So, I kept thinking, I'm talking to all these people, right? And it's fantastic to get to know all these people and have these amazing conversations. But I also felt this sensation of, when we talk, I get to get all that knowledge from them. And that's also one of the reasons why I then wanted to make this public, because I wanted to ask these questions and enable to everyone else to be part of that conversation, right? So that's why the whole podcast idea came to life. But I'm very aware that not everyone has time right now to dedicate themselves to listen to all these conversations. These are also very dense topics usually. So I'm really aware that we all have very busy lives, and to have the privilege to be able to talk and listen to these conversations
Mhm,
is a privilege right now.
mhm,
And it can be also sometimes a bit like unsettling to hear all these conversations, because there's a lot to deal with, like a lot of fears maybe come up, a lot of emotions come up. So, when we were talking, like, okay, so how can we actually make this um and reach more people, and so that people also can connect with it even more and really take the most out of these conversations. And then yeah, we talked about creating this course, because then we're like, okay, so maybe what if we took all these um yeah, basically all this knowledge that came through in all these 40 conversations and plus, and put it all into a course that is easy to navigate, that you get every day, some very small content capsules that you can really navigate in a very busy life. And yeah, then you go through that systemically, and we kind of do this in a group, and we share the burden in a community, and then go through this together in an 8-week course. So that was a bit the idea, and also to enable everyone that would participate in this to ask the questions to the people that came already to the podcast that were most listened to, and that for me gave a lot of answers and even opened up even more questions, so that everyone can be part of this and everyone can ask these questions to the people working at the edges of this new world. So for me, that was also a very important aspect, so that everyone has a chance to actually get in a room with someone, even if it's a virtual room, but that maybe can have some of the answers that we're looking for. And so that I'm not always the one having to ask all these questions, but maybe you have very different questions, and that we all can ask these questions and do this in a room, in a virtual room together. And so that was the idea, to
Yeah.
really do this systemically, walk from something that, yeah, all the knowledge that we've gained so far from all this past year, and put it all systemically in one course in 8 weeks, and enable also everyone to ask questions to the
Yeah.
people that matter most right now.
That sounds so appealing, so good, and again, something that I know I was looking for when I found you. That getting much more of an idea of where is the moment where we are at. How do I find that roadmap?
Yeah.
And I think that it's what Become a Maker is and what you're creating, and I am very very excited about this, and especially what you said, right? The two things: being in community in this, like with people that are also feeling this in this moment,
Yeah.
but also bringing the voices that have already been in the podcast, that as you said, somebody else in the community might have very different questions, and that sparks something new, completely new, and that is also very, very, very exciting.
Yeah.
So, how is then the course structure? As you said,
Yeah.
people will receive daily capsules that they can consume in our busy lives, and it's 8 weeks. How is it divided?
Right. Okay. Great questions, I have to say. I'm a very good host here. Um,
Thank you. I have a great streams to follow.
um, so then once we understood, okay, so let's create this course, because it's important for all of us that we feel very lost, or at least like sensing something is not adding up. We then said, okay, so what about these 5 forces of change that I've been um, feeling and sensing and hearing out of all these conversations, that for me really kind of narrowed it down to 5 forces of change. So we start with something very broad and big. So the idea is that all these forces are kind of narrowing down from the outward most structural force to the self. So essentially, we go from more geopolitics, economics, money, all what's in the more, well, phase where we all feel that something is shifting, and something is like just not maybe adding up, like all these wars, Trump, all these structures, money, debt, how does it work? How is the dollar involved in all this? Because, well, I mean, there's just so much there to unpack, honestly, that I had no idea before, of really starting these conversations and looking into that. So why and how are these structures really influencing everything that we are experiencing on a really deeper level as our individual level? And then we go so from the outermost structure force to the inner force, because at the end of the day, what I've realized also throughout the whole year of conversations is that all of them are one of the same transition. It's like just seeing everything from just different perspectives. So that's why also for me, it was really kind of systems thinking in its pure essence, because just seeing how a I don't know, ocean engineer in robotics, and a spiritual thinker and philosophy expert, I don't know how these two would, at the end of the day, always talk about the same transition that we're experiencing right now. So for me, it was really important to really put all these things together in one place. That's why we do from the outermost structural force to the inner force of change. So yeah, the 5 forces are money, technology, organizations, nature, and self. And so these are the 5 forces that we're gonna really look into and dive into.
Amazing. Oh, cannot wait for everybody to experience all of them and start making sense of all of it. Because, yeah, there are many things that we might know and understand, all the knowledge that we bring with us. But again, also many other forces that we don't understand, or that there are many new things happening. And how do you keep up with all the information out there nowadays?
Right.
And with all the events happening, etc. It's overwhelming, and it can make us put our head under the sand. And so it is very beautiful that we can have a space where we can breathe, relax, and find people that we can do this with, and it doesn't feel as daunting
Yeah,
to do it by ourselves. um,
100%. No, I was talking the other day to a friend also about AI,
mhm,
and yeah, even with other people as well, like from different generations. There was a friend of mine, like her parents were here, and like just talking about all these aspects, right? Like from all different angles and perspectives from very different generations as well. And yeah, how are people dealing with AI now in the workspace, and what kind of questions are these technologies bringing up about our humanity, about our um, way of working, about our way of dealing with each other, and um,
mhm,
of, about our creativity, and how we do and make money, and our purpose in life, right? So all these questions, and then it's what you're saying, just burying our head in the sand, and just feeling just this feeling of something is off, and how is the world changing with all this, and at the same time not having the time to actually really dedicate ourselves to this, like, okay, this is important, let's actually look into this, because technology is fast and it's growing exponentially. So that's something that I always keep also coming back to, where in a lot of conversations, yeah, they some AI experts would say, like, well, like, AI right now, what we're experiencing right now is the worst version of AI that we know, like the dumbest version of AI. It's gonna only get better and improve in terms of intellectual intelligence and what it can do, right? So I think that's also something that we really need to be mindful of.
exactly. That still there's so much development happening, and it's happening so fast that the speed of it is just daunting.
Right.
um and
Yeah.
it's just interesting, right, that you mentioned that you were talking to some of your friends' parents,
Yeah.
and how the world had changed from
Mm.
that generation. And also, if we think about our grandparents' generation,
Yeah.
the world is completely different, and
Absolutely.
the rules that they played under, like, is they're not the same rules that we are playing under, but still we have the same structures. And so we're operating right in this framework that was built after World War II,
Yeah.
with the US dollar hegemony.
Yeah.
Then Bretton Woods institutions, we had NATO security and architecture, and a liberal international order anchored by US dominance. And now, it's been 80 years since then. Um, and yeah, things have changed, as we are speaking about, right? So where do we find ourselves in this moment?
Right. No, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like that moment where this order that you just described is completely fracturing. And yeah, it's what we've kind of come to believe, and what we've always thought to be true is completely eroding, right? The US share of global GDP, for instance, has been fallen from 40% in 1960 to under 25 today. China is completely on the uprising. Yeah, well, like what we're experiencing right now with the global south in asserting sovereignty and technology as well. It's like AI and the energy are the new geopolitical battlefields. So these things are really just changing everything, right? And the petrodollar, for instance, also what we were saying earlier about the dollar, how that has been such a massive structural force in building the world that we know today. Because yeah, basically also something I didn't know just months ago is everything about related to the petrodollar, that the US and Saudi Arabia agreed in 1974 that the oil would be only traded exclusively in dollars. So that really made the dollar indispensably as the economy on Earth. And yeah, and that's kind of fracturing right now. And it's just not the economic system, but like basically how we understand reality itself and how the world works. So the new monetary architectures are already emerging. Something that we will be also talking in the course about CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies that are about to go live rather sooner than later, actually. And what that is, and like it's kind of like just a bit in the silent newspaper aspects where you can actually read about this. So no one is really officially talking about it too much, but it is changing very fast what this will mean for our way of how we do business, how we relate to each other, how everything works. Um, well, we have something like Bitcoin that is completely basically something that's a new settlement layer outside of state control. So I think that's also something very, very exciting and interesting to look at. I mean, there are just a lot of things coming up now that is very important to have a understanding of, okay, these things are happening and might change things very soon even more. And to be part of it sounds just like really exciting, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is what this course is bringing, right? Like
Yeah.
all that clarity and understanding of where we were,
Yeah.
where were the infrastructures and the structures that we are working under,
Yeah.
and what coming that is new, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the force number one that we are going to be talking about, as you said
Yeah.
before, the rings, right? We
Yes.
work in money, but tell us then, what is the second layer after that?
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So I mean, I'm always holding this like circle thing because it's kind of like the way that we put it up on the website as well. So it's like the macro system. So the money is like force number one, and then the second force of change is technology, AI. As we already said, like it's basically changing everything that we knew till now. And yeah, I mean, especially what happens if whatever we thought would be like the most human thing to do, it's like being intelligent and think, is suddenly automated by AI, right? So then what's left for us to do?
That's right.
So I think like this is just, well, like very different to all the previous industrial revolutions that we had so far. Like all of them transformed one domain, and it's like either it was physical labor or electrical infrastructure or information processing. But this one is just very different because it's an exponential in pace. What we already said, like technology really evolves in exponential terms. It's global in scope. So we have all these nations basically fighting over who has the AI win next, and then total and scale, right? Um, so yeah, so this is a completely different reality right now that we're finding ourselves in, and it's just a very different dimension because we're talking about human life being affected in very different ways simultaneously, right? It's not just the way of like, okay, what do we think if intelligence is being automated, but also what is our purpose if work is being automated through that? And not just the purpose, but also like then economically, how do we organize ourselves if that's all automated, right? So there are just so many questions coming up through this. And yeah, so all this together then also asked another questions about who is governing these AIs, because let's be honest, they're mostly all a few handful of people that really control these AI technologies right now, and all Western and male. So, well, it's just really interesting to look at those things and also find that there are lots of other movements already happening, such as decentralized AI, different ways of getting different sorts of data that were not made mainstream in the internet yet. So we had a lot of also different guests coming to the podcast that shared a bit of what they're working on right now. So those movements and understanding that that's actually already happening and that's looking like this is a lot is going into that direction as well, and that we all can be part of that. I think also it's very exciting to understand and to know more about.
Absolutely, because if we don't, it just passes by, and it's here.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to ignore it is not gonna make it go away. um, but as you said,
Right.
right, like two very important points,
Mm,
like what is the meaning of being human if if we the machine can do
yeah.
everything that we can do. What is intelligence, right? And
Mhm.
also now with the humanoid robots, which are being fastly developed in China. Yesterday I was reading an article that now a robot broke the record in the half a marathon in Beijing. So these things are happening, and again, there was some hope in that article and how they are just putting them into these situations
Mm,
to see what it is, the stress levels that they can take,
mm,
and yeah, maybe then to take the human out of dangerous situations.
yeah.
So we can still run and win half marathons, but they are testing them in these spaces. So just to say that this is something that is also happening and coming.
Mm,
um, we cannot ignore it.
no.
um, but also, as you said, right, like who is in charge, or who
Yeah.
is now controlling all of this. And this is crucial, because it creates unprecedented leverage over information, decision making. And this is at a civilizational scale. We are not talking about in a locality, in a nation. This is for all of us.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like, but how do we navigate this moment? What is it? What does it mean to be human
Mm,
when AI, robots, all of this is coming?
yeah. Yeah. And especially also because it's suddenly also changing really also the economical side of everything, right? So, and that's why also the book I read that Jeff Booth wrote, and who we have the privilege of having him as a special guest on the course, made so much sense to me because it just he explains how technology is driving everything towards basically almost zero. So always driving things always cheaper. And yet we are experiencing that everything is becoming more expensive. And that is one of the crucial things as well. And when we millennials and Gen Z now are looking for a job and right, it's like we are trying to find a great organization that fits what we are looking for. Um, the cost of living is so skyrocketing right now that yeah, it's really really challenging to actually find something that really makes sense for us on a purpose level, on a financial level, on a social level. So so yeah, so Jeff Booth really gave some um basically understanding of what is happening as well through his book and also when he came to the podcast. So now we have the chance to also be able to talk to him, and not just us, but like all the participants of the of the course. So so yeah, that's going to be very exciting.
Ugh, Absolutely. That is such a gift, and
Mm.
one of the great things that we are coming that we have coming with Become a Maker. All these guests, and as we said,
Totally.
uh, for people to have the opportunity for them to ask directly to them their questions, or their burning questions about the moment that we are living through.
Yeah.
But yes, no, that is absolutely so such great news. I'm so happy that we are able to share that right now. Um, should we move into the third force?
Yes.
Take us down the ring.
Yes. So basically, what we already said, like all that connects already to the third force, which is organizations. So the third force is organizations, how we organize ourselves. So essentially, if we think of money being the way that everything runs through, like the whole running operating system, then essentially I would say that technology is kind of the tools, and then um, organizations are essentially a way of an expression of how the world really works, right? So all these organizations, institutions, all these building blocks are the third force of change. The context of the organizations have changed so much from the 20th century corporation that was designed for an industrial world, hierarchical, optimized for efficiency and a shareholder return. That was like the primary goal. Now to be in this environment of just, globalization where everything is changing so fast, where AI is now part of it. Where we have living expenses that are just skyrocketing. And so how do you still engage people that are wanting to work in that kind of organization and that kind of environment? So that's all changing as we speak right now. And we will look into all these um, changes, and also on a cultural level we're gonna look into that, what is going on there, what's the social contract here that is dissolving, and what's the new social contract that's coming up, and what kind of new organizations are being formed as a result. And yeah, we had a really amazing guest speakers as well in the podcast, explaining a bit about that too. And we had, for instance, I don't know, we had Sandra talking about steward ownership, how property really changes also how the organization functions. With Lisa Jill that will be also joining the course. Yay!
Yeah.
Um, she also came to talk about teal organizations that are seeing the organization as a living organism and having different aspects of how participants of these organizations can really function inside of an organization. So yeah, lots of different again movements here and things that are already happening, and which is again very exciting.
It is. And it's just interesting though, right? Like these things, just because we are so used to
Yeah,
how things have been done, right? Like that is all we know, and that is everything that we see around us from hearing from
such a good
people and
point.
seeing it in movies and culture. So all of these ideas, they sound like either naive,
Mhm.
utopian, like something that, oh yes, um, very nicely, put into words, but how that is actually going to work. But actually, these things are happening now.
Yeah, yeah,
And we had people, right, coming to the podcast, Lisa, who is going to join us, as you said, in Become a Maker, but they're talking about how these things are actually being done.
yeah. And I mean, and I get it. I mean, I think also that's we were just talking about before recording this, right? We were just talking about how it can feel very frustrating and lonely because it is a transition still. So obviously, we are in the middle of this whole mess. So of course, there's going to be a lot so from operating from the old system and the old ideas of understanding how the world works, and these new ways of organizing ourselves are in the midst of transition, are actually building up as we speak. So just knowing about them more, and understanding also how they can flourish better as the incentives already change and move towards that direction. Because I think also that's something that a lot of us maybe were kind of craving, but we couldn't really see yet because the system everything we talk about, like the whole external structure that everything runs on, is still aligned with incentives that are short term and just really extractive, right? Which then also actually brings me to the force number 4, but which is nature, and well, like how we align everything as in terms for a regenerative space, that we are seeing ourselves as part of nature, um, is just realigning again with also how is the whole system, right, that we're operating in right now incentivized, and where is it actually leading us towards that. The incentives are changing through all this chaos, and it's just naturally outbursting, like this abundance, and the decentralized movement is just such a big force, um, because this whole chaos is kind of leading us towards that naturally, and how that works, that's what we're going to really unpack in the whole course. So that's why also, so then in that context, all these new ways of organizing ourselves make so much more sense. And it's really refreshing to understand then, okay, so how do we organize ourselves differently, right? But like that without the whole previous understanding of the whole system and how that's changing and where we can be participant in that change really is crucial. That, at least for me, that was how I felt. Yeah, just looking back, that a few pieces were just not fitting in, because it felt always like, oh, I'm fighting against the old system of organizations, and I'm feeling that the way of sustainable business or sustainability in general was always such a hard work. It was always this feeling of, I need to kind of just explain it better, or be more convincing, or I don't know, do something, because it was just not, yeah, like it was just feeling always very utopian or naive, because it was always kind of telling everyone, well, money will have a step, take a just a step back, and it's not going to be that important, and for that you just have a better, more green business, and it's going to look more, um, well, just nicer, and just more aligned with nature, when we are still operating in a system often that is just relying on constant growth. So, and growth, not just in like growth in a sense of financial terms, of a constant growth in financial terms and very short term perspective. So it needs to be growing basically yesterday, because of the whole inflationary debt based system that everything is operating on. So we're going to really look into that, and then make sense of, okay, so how are these things maybe changing, so that we can actually realign everything based on these new ways of organizing ourselves, and then um, really align with the natural systems, that is then the force number 4 that we're going to look into.
This is a lot, Adriana, and I can feel or think, right? Like for so many people, yeah, it's gonna feel overwhelming.
Yes.
As you said, it's understanding all the structures that it all makes sense, right? Once
Yeah.
you have the map, right, the
Huh.
picture.
Yeah.
But at this moment, it feels like, whoa, wait, like there's so
Mm-hmm.
many things, so many moving pieces. I'm getting
Wow.
yeah, overwhelmed and lost and all over the place. And I think that that is what has happened, right? That we have
Mm-hmm.
lost
Yes.
that connection as well with
Yeah.
the ecosystems of the world, and that at the end, right? Like how we are all in this blue dot
Mm-hmm.
together, and we have come with this growth imperative and forgotten that the nature is very intelligent and it has its rhythms for a reason. So yeah, did you want to talk a little bit more about force number 4? And yeah, we are now on the fourth ring.
Yeah, the fourth one is yeah, it's such a beautiful one, because it also touches on energy, right? Also on that we are all energy, and that how abundant energy and basically nature is. And I think that's such a beautiful concept that we slightly also forget. Especially also coming from sustainability, we're used to talking about how we're living on a very finite planet, which then also kind of contradicts a bit our idea of how abundant actually nature is, right? And how fascinating nature is, and how much we as like little human brains don't really even have the capacity sometimes to understand how magnificent and abundant nature is, right? Um, so I think it's a very beautiful force, and the force number 4, because it really reconnects us with what we are, and understand that the systems that's also moving into a abundant energy system, and one that's decentralized, and also something that's also coming from nature. And just tapping into that again is that very complex systems really tend to go into decentralizing themselves, and organizing very locally wherever it's needed, right? So we think of forests, where the whole ecosystem is just so intelligent and organizes itself so intelligently without any, one force controlling other forces, and or yeah, one individual part having more power over another parts. So I think that's just so beautiful, because then it really makes it so much easier to also navigate this moment where it's just a natural thing, where from very simple concepts, very simple systems, when we move and transition into something more complex, we allow it to then decentralize and actually take its own shape and form and be very dynamic, and that we can enable that in some way and even embrace it. So I think it's a very beautiful force, the number 4.
Mm, absolutely. And again, reconnecting us with nature. I think it'll be one of the ways as well to solve many of the unfortunate challenges that we are facing, and truly going back and understanding how it works. And I really want to touch upon again, like the point that you're making of, that energy can truly become local and abundant. And then that scarcity logic that has
Mhm.
organized the industrial civilization, it is starting to dissolve. And
Yes.
then a different kind of economy becomes possible.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think, and that is mind blowing. And again, something that it's scary to face
Mm.
it, because like, wait, that is not what I know. Like,
Yeah.
no, there's always that scarcity mindset. So I think that, right, like this is a really good lead way to the last force, to number 5, and consciousness and self.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no. That is beautiful transition over there. Um, um, yeah, it all connects us back to the self, and everything, all these crises that we've been just talking about and going through, then really land on the force number 5. It's like, yeah, the self, and how much, like, if we step into our abundant mindset, and really we're going to look into some systems ideas and change ideas as well in that forest, because it's basically always related to, and coming back to the belief systems that we have as individuals as well, and that's where a lot of the change happens.
Mhm.
And so if we step into our own potential, into our own understanding of how do we transition this transition right now, and really connect to that, and connect to understanding maybe that we are a bit more than what we think or see sometimes of ourselves, and yeah, and how that abundance mindset maybe can flourish, and then have some ripple effects, which then well, that's what this course is about, becoming a maker. So let's see what these ripple effects are potentially looking like. That's, I think, very exciting.
Oh,
So yeah, we're gonna look into the consciousness, into like our own self, and being part of this. So how does it work, and where can I be putting my skills and gifts in service of this transition, right? So, because we're all needed, we're all part of this, and we are already shaping this world if we believe it or not, subconsciously or not. Like, we are participating in building whatever is existing right now.
Yeah.
So, the more we know and the more we are participating consciously, yeah, the more we can maybe move into a direction that, yeah, we really want to live in. The world that we really want to live in. I think that's about it.
Yeah, beautifully put. Moving towards that world that uh, gives us hope again, right? And the reality is that we have been living in this system that encourages so much separation, so much individualism,
Yeah.
but there is a counter proposal that
Mhm.
is also something that we're going to be looking into force number 5.
Yes, 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 yes. And it reminds me of something that my dad said, who also joined the podcast at some point, and we were doing a communication workshop with him, right? So
Yeah.
in the end, it's all connected. But yeah, he said something that he quoted someone, and I can't remember who, but that the world, we don't have to like what we see, but it's about loving what the world looks like right now. Because if
Mhm.
we love even the ugly parts, this is the first step into, um, well, moving into a direction where we actually like the world even better. So, I mean, I so much resonated with that because it's about exactly that change of perspective, right? Where
Mhm.
it's not about liking all of our parts, our own parts, as an individual level, but it's about loving as much as we can, loving those parts and being more, well, more compassionate with ourselves and the world in general. It's not like I'm separate from the world. It's like we're all part of this, and it's basically a reflection of what's going outside inside. And if I'm starting to put my energy into loving this world, even if I don't like it, that's a very different distinction. I thought that was a very beautiful one. It really is also going to be affecting everything else. And yeah, I just thought like that's the first steps that we're going to look into as well in this course number 5. So it's such a beautiful one as well.
Oh my God, yes. It is so, so powerful what we are going to be touching upon in Become a Maker. And this is already speaking so much about what so many of us are feeling, but
Mm.
cannot put into words.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm loving that we are finding the words and finding the structure as well to understand it. Because
Mhm.
again, looking at it all at once, it just feels way too overwhelming. But yeah, this is Become a Maker is bringing that roadmap. I love that word.
Yes, I love that too. I love that too. And yeah, I don't know. Do you want to add something else to the?
And yeah, I think that it's a very. Who do you see joining
Mm.
this course? Who
Right.
who who are the people that um,
Yeah, it's a very
might
good
be
question.
interested, right? Or yeah, tell,
Yeah. No, I think it's a very good question because it's true that this is not a course for somebody that wants a 5-step solution to, I don't
Mhm.
know, become richer or be the best version of themselves in 5 steps from today till next week. That's not how this is going to work. And yeah, I don't think that we are in this moment anymore.
Mhm.
Um, but I think really it is for all the people like myself that were maybe feeling a bit lost, maybe a bit scared about what's happening, about where we're going. And not just lost and scared, but also feeling that maybe that's something that's not adding up, something that's just not really working for them. And not just for them, but the whole world. And that are just like, yeah, curious and really asking questions. Um, that's just a bit going beyond what we are usually told. So I would say that's the kind of people that we're looking for to join us on this, because we need you as well to ask these questions, to even go even deeper and further, and create this new world in the making. So that's why it is about becoming a maker. That's why the course is called like that. It's an intentional name for that. And yeah, that's the whole reason of it. So yeah, so we need you to be part of this, and it's an active call for that. And yeah, I would love for you to resonate with this. I don't know what you're Beatriz, what you're thinking right now about this, but yeah, I would love to see a lot of people joining us in this quest and making process.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out at what
Mm,
you just went over quite quickly, the
mm,
intentionality of the naming. Become
yeah,
a maker, just as the intentionality of new world in the making. Like,
yeah,
this is not something that we have seen. We don't know where we're going.
yeah,
We just know what is happening now, and we can distinguish some paths and see
mm,
where it can go. But if we put intention into where we want it to go, that is what makes a difference. And so that's why I think that this course brings as well, right? Like, much more clarity again in
yeah,
what we are living through,
yeah.
and then giving us a better idea and an agency into moving us towards that new world. Um,
That's a very good point, and like it's very. Thank you for saying that, because I'm just thinking like, yes, it's exactly what you're saying. Because we are in need of that intentionality, and need for people to be able to actually um yeah, take their skills and put them into these places. But that's not going to happen if we don't really know and understand what's going on, right? So this is basically just a starting kit, and like a little helping kit from what we learned. And yeah, and just like be able to like, okay, so here you go. If that can help you, that would be amazing. So yeah, so that's, I think that's essentially what it comes down to, because yeah, I like, we are very aware that not everyone can have the time that we had to then go into all these conversations and understand a bit the deeper logic behind a lot of patterns. So yeah, so I think that's a very key point here.
Absolutely, and as you said, right, like again, there's so much information, so many things happening, so people have their lives and struggles. It
Yeah,
is very hard to come to these realizations, or having all this information, and so that's why how you have put together the course after all these 40 conversations plus, it's just precious. And yeah, so tell us, if people want to learn more,
right.
where do they go?
Okay, yeah, because also we have a little announcement as well on top of everything. We have a new website that's now live, and yeah, it starts. The course starts on the 18th of May, and you can have all the information about the course and about New Order Making, about the team behind, because also we have Carola also in the back of the working on social media and supporting everywhere. So it's a blessing, honestly, to have this amazing team already working on this together. So yeah, so you have the manifesto, the everything related to the course there. You can ask any of us, like LinkedIn, just message us through the emails, whatever you want to know. If you want to participate in some other way, just hit us up. And also very important, there is a bonification for people that, as we can really resonate. And something that was very important was that we have 5 spots at a reduced price. So you have the opportunity, even if you're just right now maybe unemployed or studying or just not in a great moment financially, which we really do resonate and understand deeply, that you can also participate in this and also are part of this. So please, yeah, check it out. And yeah, we hope to see you on the other side on, yeah, just making this new world and making together.
Absolutely. On May 18th, it starts, and bringing all the community together, right? And as we had said, right, become a maker will help us navigate these uncertain times that we are living through and prepare us for what is happening. So it is very important that we are here together. Thank you so much for today, Adriana. It's been
Thank you so much.
an honor to speak with you like this. And
Incredible. Like, you should do this way more often. We should change sometimes. No, honestly, this has been great. Like, such a great host, and really left me with thinking and asking myself even more questions, and coming up with more answers. So thanks a lot. It was really great.
Thank you so much. Let's continue talking.
Yes, I mean, as we do.
Indeed.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. And see you in the new world. Let's dive in, as we always say.
Let's dive in.
Okay.
How do you feel? ¿Cómo te encuentras?